June 10th readings. Irenaeus against heresies, chapter 17:18. The theory of the Marcosians, that created things were made after the image of things invisible, creation as a mirror of the aeons. The Marcosians teach that creation itself was formed through the mother, by the demiurge, unknowingly, after the image of things invisible. First, the four elements, fire, water, earth, and air, mirror the first tetrad above. Then, by adding their operations, heat, cold, dryness, and humidity, the full Ogdoad is represented. They continue by counting 10 cosmic powers, 7 planetary spheres, which they call heavens, the 8th sphere that contains the others, and the sun and moon, 10 in total, corresponding to the invisible decad born of Logos and Zoe. The duodecad is shown in the zodiac. The 12 signs reveal the daughter of Anthropos and Ecclesia. The highest heaven, slowly circling the others and completing a revolution in 30 years, reflects Horus surrounding the 30 named mother. The moon's 30-day course symbolizes the 30 aeons. The 12-hour day reflects the duodecad. The hour, made of 30 parts, symbolizes the triacontad. Even the zodiac circle, with its 360 degrees, 12 signs each made of 30, mirrors the relationship between the 12 and the 30. The earth, divided into 12 zones, receives from the heavens unique powers that shape the fruitfulness of each region. This, they say, images the duodecad and its children. Time as a false echo of eternity. The demiurge, unable to grasp the true eternity and limitlessness of the Ogdoad, tried to imitate it. Lacking permanence himself, he stretched eternity into time, into ages, seasons, and long spans of years, hoping to simulate the infinite by sheer quantity. But they say the truth slipped from his grasp, and so he followed falsehood. For that reason, when the fullness of time is complete, his creation will pass away. Scripture twisting and Gnostic numerology. The heretics, especially the Marcosians, invent new teachings daily, insisting that no one among them is perfect unless they produce some grand innovation. I will first explain how they twist the prophetic scriptures to support their speculations, and then respond to their claims. They argue that Moses, in the creation account, hinted at the mother of all things when he wrote, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." To them, the four terms, God, beginning, heaven, earth, represent the tetrad. The next line, "The earth was invisible and unformed," indicates the hidden nature of that tetrad. When Moses speaks of the abyss, darkness, water, and the Spirit moving upon the waters, they say he is naming the second tetrad. Then listing 10 more features, light, day, night, firmament, evening, morning, dry land, sea, plants, and trees. They claim these represent the 10 aeons, or the decad. Next, with sun, moon, stars, seasons, years, whales, fish, reptiles, birds, quadrupeds, wild beasts, and finally man, they find the duodecad, or 12-fold power. In all this, they say Moses hinted at the triacontad, or full 30-fold scheme of aeons. They extend this pattern to the human body. Man, made in the image of the divine power, has 4 faculties flowing from the brain: sight, hearing, smell, and taste, which mirror the tetrad. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and 2 forms of taste, sweet and bitter, form the Ogdoad. The 10 fingers are the decad, the 12 body parts, the duodecad. The Ogdoad, being hidden and mystical, is found in the body's inner parts. Tabernacle imagery and human creation. They also claim that the sun, created on the 4th day, was meant to mirror the tetrad. The same is said for the tabernacle materials: linen, blue, purple, and scarlet. The priest's robe with 4 rows of stones further confirms their pattern. Man, they say, was made on the 8th day, though at other times they say the 6th. Sometimes they split man into 2, one spiritual, made in God's image and masculo-feminine, and the other earthly. The creation timeline becomes a tool to assert numerological symbolism. Gnostic interpretations of biblical events. They continue. The ark saving 8 people proves the salvific power of the Ogdoad. David, the 8th son, circumcision on the 8th day, all point to this mystical 8. They find the decad in 10 nations promised to Abraham, 10 bracelets given to Rebekah, 10 days of delay by her family, Jeroboam's 10 tribes, the 10 original apostles who saw Christ risen, excluding Thomas, and more. The duodecad, it's supposedly visible in the 12 sons of Jacob, 12 tribes, the priest's breastplate with 12 stones and bells, 12 stones at Sinai and in the Jordan, 12 carriers of the ark, 12 stones Elijah used, and the 12 apostles. 30-fold patterns in Scripture. They stretch the pattern to a full triacontad by pointing to Noah's Ark being 30 cubits tall, Samuel's feast for 30 guests, David hiding for 30 days, the cave companions, and the tabernacle's 30-cubit height. Anything with the number 30 is pressed into this system. Thus, they strain the Scriptures through their numerical lens to affirm the scheme of aeons and the flawed spiritual cosmology it entails. J. Augustine of Hippo Confessions, Book 10, Chapter 15, Section 23. Memory holds images, even when the body does not. But whether it's by images or not, who can say for sure? I name a stone or the sun, and those things are not physically present to my senses, yet their likenesses are near at hand in my memory. I name bodily pain, though I'm not feeling it at the moment. Still, if its image weren't stored in memory, I wouldn't even know how to talk about it, nor could I distinguish it from pleasure in conversation. When I say bodily health and I'm currently healthy, the thing itself is indeed present, but without its image in my memory, I'd have no idea what the word even means. The same is true for someone who is sick. If you mention health to them, how would they know what you're talking about unless they retain some memory of it, even if their body no longer experiences it? Numbers, images, and memory itself. I name numbers we use for counting, not images of numbers, but the numbers themselves, and they're in my memory. I name the image of the sun, and yes, that's in my memory too. I don't remember an image of the image, I remember the image itself, which is truly present in my memory. And then I say the word memory. I know exactly what I mean, but how do I know it except through memory itself? Is memory somehow present to itself only by an image, or does it know itself by its very presence? Thomas Aquinas, Summa Theologica, Part 1, Question 82, Article 1. Whether the will desires something of necessity, objection. It seems the will does not desire anything of necessity. For everything the will desires, it can choose not to desire. But if something is necessary, it cannot be otherwise. Therefore, the will does not desire anything necessarily. Responsio. There are indeed some things the will desires of necessity, and others it desires freely. The distinction lies in the object. The will is the rational appetite. Just as sense appetite is drawn toward sensible goods, the will is inclined toward what the reason perceives as good. Now, some goods are presented to the will as good in every possible way, while others are only conditionally good, or good in a certain respect. For instance, happiness, or the ultimate end, is something the will desires necessarily. No one can help but want to be happy. This is a universal and necessary inclination. But when it comes to particular goods or means to that end, say, whether I eat this food or that, or whether I live in one place or another, the will is free. The reason can present either as good or even doubt which is better, and the will may choose accordingly. In short, the will necessarily desires the end, but it is free with respect to the means. And in cases where the intellect presents something as good without qualification, good under every aspect, the will cannot help but desire it. But when the intellect sees both good and bad in a thing, the will retains its freedom. Quick summa, the will necessarily desires what is perceived as the ultimate good, like happiness, but retains freedom with respect to particular goods or means to that end.